What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Aeron from the Wrestle Plug, and I'm here to review AEW Revolution. Sit back, relax, have a nice cup of coffee. Hell, you might need a fucking Jack and Coke, just like our good boy John Moxley after watching that. Now, to be fair, I actually thought overall this pay-per-view was great, so let's break into it. Now, in the buy-in, we were scheduled to have a women's tag team match. Thunder Rosa and Rio versus Reba and Britt Baker. Of course, Reba is injured, so they need an excuse to shoehorn in a surprise. And surprise they do with Maki Ito, of course. Now, Maki Ito, to be fair, was quite a big standout and excited a lot of people just because of her tweets calling herself the deity of shit and piss. Marvellous. Sounds like a future wife, ladies and gentlemen. And she replaced Reba in this match, and she came out and did her little performance live, not recorded, which wasn't very good, if I'm being honest, just not my cup of tea. Sounded like a bunch of cats being strangled and then chucked in a river, and then swam down a river and fell into a grinder, and then that grinder was chucked off the edge of the earth. That's what that sounded like. But, that being said, the match was alright, it was fine. Britt Baker and Maki Ito go over, but it's the buy-in, and I've got to be honest, I don't care. And if you're putting on a show like that, why am I supposed to care either? Because what you're essentially saying is, yeah, this match isn't good enough to be on the main card, but, you know, Orange Cassidy and all that, like, oh, I'll get to that. I thought this match was fine. I actually felt like this could have been on the main card, especially with a couple of the other matches which felt quite underwhelming. Now, to be fair, the show did open up quite well. Now, as everybody knows, I'm not a big fan of the Young Bucks. However, this was a great match. They defended the tag team titles successfully, of course, against Chris Jericho and MJF. From the get-go, I enjoyed the pomp and circumstance and the nonsense involved in this match. Aubrey Edwards holds up the tag team titles to display them before the match starts, and Jericho's like, "Whee!" I thought that was quite funny. I enjoyed that, to be fair. Got a little pop out of me. And the match was good. It was very physical. It was very hard-working. A lot of that has to do with the fact that, let's be fair, MJF was in the ring. But Jericho is getting a lot of abuse and a lot of criticism on social media, not just for his physique, but his social life choices, everything else in between. That being said, I actually thought his work rate was very good in this match, and we saw glimpses of what reminds us of why he is one of the all-time great wrestlers, at least. And yeah, I enjoyed this match. Plenty of good highlights, plenty of good flips, everything you'd expect from a Young Bucks match. It can get a bit samey. One thing I will give the Young Bucks credit for, though, is they seem to have slowed down a lot of their offense. And I do appreciate that, because it does feel like they just, for years and years, it was the same routine and formula and crazy flips and let's not fucking take a breath, let's just go full throttle. And after a while, once you've seen it the way it is, you think, okay, great. I've got nothing against flips. I'm not one of these people who believes that you shouldn't be allowed to have routines or gymnastics or whatever people are calling them, the buzzwords that make sense for the average critique. But I thought overall, excellent match, to be fair. Really good quality. We then had a Casino Tag Team Royale, first that I'm aware of. Maybe I haven't seen another one, or maybe I just haven't been paying attention enough. But this was really good. It was essentially a Tag Team Royal Rumble. So 2 tag teams start, and then every minute and a half, another tag team comes in. And also, I really appreciate the fact that both team members had to be thrown over the top rope to get an elimination. And this match was actually excellent. I loved this match. Do you know what? Fuck it. I thought this was the best match of the night for my cup of tea. I love a Royal Rumble. Who doesn't? I love the anticipation, the uncertainty of who's coming through the curtain next. I really like that kind of vibe, and I like that kind of unpredictable nature and that organic reaction that can be garnered from a match like this. And obviously, I was rooting for my boys, Pac and Phoenix, and I was a very, very pleased wrestling fan by the end of this match. But it was great. Loads of good stuff involved in it. I felt like the guys who I didn't want to see overwhelm this match didn't. I thought Dustin Rhodes was excellent. Again, he's still such a great worker despite getting up there in the years. He's still, for me, one of the best all-round in-ring workers still going today. I just think he's excellent. I think he really is a ring general and lends himself well to this product. Now, QT Marshall gets the award for the worst heel turn I've ever seen. He dumps out the Gun Club. By the way, the Gun Club, right? Billy Gunn's 2 sons, I think. They come down and fucking hell, these lads, right? Not only do they look just like their old man, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, huge blonde tank of a man, you know, they're jacked, they're good looking, they can work really well, because obviously with a dad like Billy Gunn, you're going to have to make sure that you do things properly and professional. Why aren't they used more? I never see these guys on Dynamite. I never see them on the main roster. What's that all about? They're always cheerleading at ringside. Come on, man. Make use of these guys. They're so good. And I don't want to hear this excuse that some people are using on social media. Well, you don't want to push them too much in case people just say they're getting pushed because of their dad. Worked for The Rock, didn't it? Come on, lads. Pull your thumbs out. They get eliminated by QT Marshall. And then Dustin Rhodes is like, what'd you do that for? They're part of the Nightmare family. Why'd you eliminate them? And he goes, oh, fuck you. And he just jumps over the top rope, spits in his direction and leaves. Okay. Thanks for coming, buddy. Gotta be honest, don't care about QT Marshall. He has all the performance attributes of a walnut. But this match was fantastic. I got to see Bear Country for the first time. Fucking love these two. Big, meaty, bearded hosses like myself. How could I not like it? To be honest, looked like I was related to them, actually. I was like, my sons have done so well. I'm so proud of them. I love those two. I thought they were great. Proper bruiser, old school heel tag team. And I also really love Butcher and the Blade as well. I feel like they get a really bad cut of things in AEW and they deserve to be higher up on the card. I genuinely think they're great workers. And obviously they've got Bunny at ringside. And ultimately, it's my boys who win it. Pac, Phoenix going over. That's the right choice. I'm sorry, but they are mega stars. Even commentary had to put them over. They even said at the beginning, who's better as a pair of wrestlers than these two guys? Pac, for me, is the best wrestler in the world. Ray Phoenix is the best luchador in the world. Put them together, unstoppable. Absolutely fantastic. Will Penta, however, be able to complete the Death Triangle, or as my good friend Nails wants me to say, Triangulo de la Muerte. Need some work. We'll get there eventually. But will Penta complete the hat trick when he goes for the ladder match? Women's Championship match. Kept the momentum going. By this point, I was at a fever pitch. I've just seen a great Royal Rumble match. The tag team opener was fantastic. Even the buy-in had whet my appetite for what I was going to see. And then the women come out. And obviously, as you know, I am big on women's wrestling. Now, some people tweeted me and said this wasn't a very good match. I'd love to know what match you guys were watching because I thought this was fucking excellent. It was hard hitting. It was physical. It went for the Joshi Strong style approach. Tell you what though, I can do without Excalibur. Oh my god, he's now starting to really get on my nerves. I've championed him for a long time, but in this company, he feels like he's got to be the over-the-top, stupid smart. Everyone's got that one friend in their circle of friends, and I'm not going to shout them out because that would be unfair on a global platform, but everyone's got that friend, you know, the one who's like, well, actually, I've been watching some of the Joshi Princess Battle Royal tapes, and in 1982, it's like, shut up, fucking hell. Like, don't get me wrong, I like to critique, and I like to analyse, and I like to think that I'm somewhat of an encyclopedia when it comes to wrestling, but Christ, have a day off, bruv. And this is what Excalibur's getting like. Oh, did you know that the Joshi Princess title was... It's like, shut up, mate. Call the fucking match. Like, I don't mind a bit of factual nuance. I don't mind that whatsoever. But when you're literally spending half of the content... You can even see and hear the lack of interest from Tony Schiavone and JR, who are, quite frankly, long in the tooth themselves. JR at this point genuinely feels like he just doesn't give a shit. It genuinely feels that way. He's like, yeah, whatever Excalibur said, mate. Yeah, that's great. I don't give a shit, mate. I'm getting paid a lot and I'm going to try and look like I'm somewhat enthusiastic about calling this. Now, to be fair, I thought this match was excellent. Back and forth. I think Hikaru Shida has really proven herself to be the standout champion, actually, in the company. And I think it's really hilarious because in the package before, Excalibur's like, she's our fighting champion. Really? Why is she consistently at ringside then, just watching the action and not defending the belt or just wrestling more regularly, you cretin? Don't lie to your audience. That's so condescending. That fucking annoys me. Don't get me wrong, I'm an AEW fan. But if I see critiques, I'm going to point them out. And if you're one of those AEW fans who just thinks everything is positive and glowing and there's never anything wrong in the world, well, this podcast is not for you. Hikaru Shida retains the belt, just like I thought she would, to be honest. But I've got to say, Ryo Mizunami, fantastic. Great charisma, legitimate in the ring, physicality. I like her gimmick. I really like the overall dress sense as well. I love the robe and the facial expressions. She feels like a cut above when it comes to Japanese women's wrestling, and that's no mean feat, because for me, overall, I think they have the most disciplined and best all-round women's product in the world. For her to come out and have a match like this on a more, shall we say, sports entertainment-based brand, I think that's quite impressive. I think she deserves a lot of respect for that. Great match for, once again, Hikaru Shida has one of the better women's matches you've seen in this company. At the end, all the heels come down, Nyla Rose and the gang. I can do without seeing the possum-faced lunatic that is Vicky Guerrero. Sorry, love, but you are just go away heat at this point. What's the point of her? She doesn't do anything. Like, she barely says a fucking word because she's never on TV, and when she does, she just goes and just cackles like a witch. And I just think, mute. Can't be bothered, love. Cannot be bothered. But the heels beat him up until Thunder Rosa makes a save, and that sets up a 6-women tag team match for Dynamite. Cool. Whatever. At least it's a women's match on the card. It'd be nice if they had 2 matches. Can you imagine it? That'd be an earth-shattering proposal, wouldn't it? Never would you see a wrestling brand have 2 women's matches. Oh, wait. Dynamite's the only one that really struggles with that concept. Fair enough. Sorry, but they're still going to get taken to task, and I will continue to take them to task. Then the show had the lull. And I was expecting this, I gotta be honest. The next 2 matches were piss break matches for me. And that's not because I don't like some of the talent. I think Miro is the most ridiculously underutilized wrestler in the world right now. All I fucking hear from the proper AEW marks, not all of their fans, there's some really good eggs out there and some really good people who are very passionate, like Amy and Nails, and I love them dearly. And you can engage in a healthy debate with those people. But you know the ones who are like just, stone wall. No, everything's fine, everything's great all the time. They use this excuse. What I like about AEW is, unlike WWE, they use all their talent properly and everyone gets utilised properly. Obviously not fucking Miro. Rusev was the biggest and most over heavyweight in WWE. And if you want to say at the back end of his run he was mismanaged, fine. But the guy was undefeated for a year. He was in a high-profile match with the biggest star of the modern era, John Cena, at WrestleMania. He came out on a fucking tank. Fast forward to AEW. Here he is, hanging out with, admittedly, a very good wrestler. Sorry, Aaron Cruz, but your boy Kip Sabian wears fucking jorts, mate. He wears fucking leggings. He wears a crop top. Okay? That's what Miro's doing. He's the best man to this plum, and he's in a rivalry with a guy who looks like a slightly out-of-shape stoner and another guy who is in great shape but can't be bothered to do anything and has his hands in his pockets. This is what we've come to. Where the fuck is Trent? Please come back, Trent. I assume he's injured. He is far and away the best thing about the best friends. And I don't care about this match. And I'm glad that Miro won. But it doesn't mean anything because they won't book him into a position where he means something. He should be going after the world title. He should be a TNT champion. He should have won that ladder match. That's the kind of credibility and criteria I want to see Miro used in. So when people say to me, oh, Tony Khan's doing a good job, fuck off, is he? He's a terrible booker. I'm sorry, how could you possibly have someone like Miro on your roster and not find a useful place for him? And this match had no business being on pay-per-view. I had zero interest in this match. And that says a lot because I think Miro is fucking incredible. Not to mention, you've got Penelope Ford at ringside, one of your better women's wrestlers. She's beautiful, she's athletic, she can do everything. She's so fucking incredible, Penelope Ford. I have nothing but good things to say about her. And she's a lovely human being as well. A world-class human being. But you haven't got any room for her. She's just a prop at ringside to get hit. What's the fucking point? Do better. And then the next match, Matt Hardy versus Hangman Page. Again, Hangman Page, huge star. Miro and Hangman Page. Can you imagine those two wrestling each other in a main event caliber match on Dynamite or on pay-per-view? Yes, please. Nah, bruv. He's busy with old man Matt Hardy, who's ditched all the stuff that we liked about him, the broken gimmick, or, even him being the I will not die Matt Hardy. And obviously that concussion against Sammy Guevara has really had a bad effect on him because he's decided that this gimmick is where he wants to go. Big money, Matt. At no point do I believe the stipulation of this match. This is the problem with AEW. Okay, it's a good program and I enjoy it, but they don't take certain things seriously enough. And you can't say when they do. Come on. Who genuinely... Now, wrestling fans, especially AEW fans, are going to say, oh, but it's not real, mate. Yeah, I know it's not real. but I want to feel like it is. I want to feel like what I'm watching is real. Like, I don't think Marvel Avengers is real, but I still want to be drawn into the story, don't I? I still want to be drawn into the story. I still want to have an emotional connection to the characters. It's called acting, okay? And they're not doing any of that. Matt Hardy's like, I want your first quarter earnings. What? Never in the history of wrestling have I seen a match for the first quarter earnings of a year, and I don't want to see it again. Thank God Hangman Page won at least. If Matt Hardy won, I might have been compelled to turn it off. I wouldn't have, obviously, but come on. Matt Hardy winning? No, absolutely not. Especially not over Hangman Page. Guy's a megastar. Did like the fact that Dark Order came down. I said on the predictions podcast they would. Really love the Dark Order. By the way, Coke Strong John Silver. Brilliant. Love him so much. He is one of the exceptions to the rule. He's proof that even if you're a smaller guy, you can get over by putting in the work. He looks like a big old tank of a man. And it looks believable when he picks guys up because he actually does it. Okay, it's not like a really weird spot where someone just jumps for him. He legitimately muscles these guys up. So I really like him and Reynolds, actually. I think they're a great tag team, and I feel like they should be pushed a lot more as well. And overall, I quite like the Dark Order. They've grown on me quite a bit. Still not fantastically happy about seeing an 8-year-old kid out there more often than not. He wasn't on this pay-per-view from what I could see, though, so fair enough. It is what it is. Or if he was, it was a brief, fleeting appearance that I obviously missed. It's now time for the face of the Revolution ladder match, or as I am calling it, who can rise to the glorious Honey Nut Cheerio first match? What the fuck is that thing? It's either a Honey Nut Cheerio, a giant oversized one, admittedly. Maybe they found one of the Bootios from WrestleMania that was lying around. Or it's one of the rings from Sonic. Okay? I'm not having anything else. Or maybe it's just one of Paul White's missing ring fingers. I don't fucking know. A few missing rings after this show, I can imagine, in a creative meeting. Good match. This suffered from something that I feel like most ladder matches in all companies are now going to suffer from. I've seen it all. I have. I've seen it all before. I've seen guys run out the ladder. I was excited for two things. One was the guest surprise that we were going to get because we were informed that we were going to get a to be announced. And of course, what was Penta going to do because he's one of my boys. I love all the guys in this match. Not a single guy in this match I dislike. I love Lance Archer. I think he's their best big man. I fucking love Penta. I think he's one of the best luchadors in the world. Second only to his brother Ray, if I'm being honest. And I love Scorpio Sky as well. But it just felt like all the stunts. I'd seen them before. You know, some of them were cool, don't get me wrong. You know, Canadian Destroyers and package power drivers and Scorpio Sky's 5-star frog splash is a thing of beauty. It's right up there in Montez Ford's. Absolutely gorgeous. He did that on the ladder. Now, the surprise we got was all ego, Ethan Page. Very, very pleased about that. Not very often would I say that I'm glad that a guy went to AEW over, say, WWE NXT, which is my favourite brand. But in the case of Ethan Page, I'm incredibly happy that he went to AEW because I know he's all about creative control and being very creative. WWE would not have allowed him to play out his gimmicks, his ideas in the way that he was able to in Impact or in his own promotions. And I feel like Ethan Page has got an incredible mind for entertainment and he's wickedly charismatic. I mean, he's called All Ego for a reason. I felt that his appearance wasn't particularly fantastic in this match. Quite a few botches for my money. Maybe he was nervous. Don't know. But ultimately, he is a professional and I have to critique if I see a lot of mistakes. And I did. That being said, he was still very good. I still love him dearly and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him. I would have actually liked to have seen him win this match. But it's Scorpio Sky who raises out a hand and pulls down the glorious Cheerio. And of course, he will be eating cereal with great happiness because he will challenge Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Scorpio Sky is your number one contender for the TNT Championship. Should be an excellent match, to be fair. And I actually have a sneaking suspicion he might win. Speaking of Darby Allin and the TNT Championship, oh boy, we're going to upset some people here. So it was a street fight, as you all know. It was Sting and Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks, who I fucking adore, and Brian Cage. Cool. It was a cinematic. Very cool. That was what I expected. And do you know what? I thought cinematically it looked great. It was filmed beautifully. I loved the lighting. It had somewhat of a feel of the, the Crow fight scenes with Brandon Lee, the original Crow film. A lot of it looked fantastic. However, there were two problems. First of all, why in fuck's name did you allow commentary over this match? It's a cinematic match, okay? Think back, right, to all the great cinematic matches. Pretty much all of them didn't have a commentator. Even the great Final Deletion match, that didn't have a commentator. AJ Styles versus The Undertaker, that didn't have a fucking commentator. And if you did the Firefly Funhouse or even the Swan Fight, you know, these were all matches that didn't need a commentator because the cinematic tells the story for you. That's exactly what this match did, and it looked great, and there were some amazing stunts. But I cannot enjoy it and get into it when all I can hear is Tony Schiavone marking out like a fucking annoying 12-year-old. What a prepubescent twat he likes to play on TV. I'm sorry, how anyone can honestly tell me Tony Schiavone is good at this point is beyond me. He's awful. Excalibur was inoffensive. JR was okay because, you know, he was able to lend himself well, and obviously he recognises Sting, so he's going to be a little bit more invested from that perspective. But the second problem is, of course, Sting goes over. What? Why? Fuck's sake. If you want Sting to win a match in some way, fine. At least have Darby Allin get the pinfall, okay? You got all these great spots. Darby Allin going for a fucking window was pretty wild. Him flying out of another window into the pit of death and taking out Brian Cage with that insane elbow drop. That was fucking cool too. And then it comes down to Ricky Starks and Sting. And at that point, I must admit, I thought, man, imagine if Ricky Starks goes over Sting. What a statement to be made. All I heard about when Sting arrived from AEW fans who were trying to clap back at WWE fans in this toxic fucking nature was, yeah, well, Sting isn't going to fucking bury talent. Sting isn't going to be going over talent. Sting is here to get people over. Now, did he get Darby Allin over? Yes. Why does Ricky Starks and Brian Cage have to fucking be completely cut off at the legs to do that? And people are going to say, yeah, but they got the rub. What rub? Only 1 million people, much less than that actually, watch this program regularly every week. There is no rub to be had from working with Sting. I'm sure Ricky Starks is thrilled to beans, and I'm happy for him that he got in the ring with Sting, but Sting doesn't need to win this match. He's 61 years old, and he went over a guy who's what, in his mid to late 20s, maybe early 30s? Doesn't matter. He's a gorgeous looking lad. You know, Ricky Starks is in the prime of his career. He's a young powerhouse. He's got everything you want. Brilliant cadence, great image. He feels like a high roller, and he is so good on the mic. Nah, don't worry about it. We'll just have Sting, the 61-year-old man, pin him. It's Sting. And by the way, Sting is my favourite all-time babyface in history. So I don't want to hear people saying, yeah, well, you're just a salty hater. No. And there was nothing wrong with this match. It was a good cinematic. But get rid of the fucking commentary, and I bet it would have been tenfold more exciting. And fuck's sake, use these guys properly. You can find room for all these people to stuff them on Dynamite for whatever reason and have competitive matches. But when it comes down to it, you need to make sure that the guys who really are the most talented crop that you have get the opportunity to flex themselves. By the way, Hook and Will Hobbs were involved in this as well. So it was essentially 4-on-2, once, of course, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks had dispatched all the crow-looking goons that were around the ring. I just don't understand. And when people say, especially Dave Meltzer, the fucking clown, he gave Tony Khan and his goons at the Wrestling Observer, they gave Tony Khan Booker of the Year. What, for stuff like this? That isn't good booking at all. You're a fucking idiot. Fuck off, Meltzer. Meltzer gives me a headache. Why are we still taking this demented old man seriously at this point? It's actually quite embarrassing. There were way too many things here which showed you why Tony Khan is not a good booker of wrestling, and this was one of them. It was very frustrating because I was actually really excited about this match in the end, despite the fact that it had 61-year-old Sting, and I was willing to really give it an opportunity, and they just can't get out of their own way. And the finest example of that is the main event of the evening, a barbed wire death match, an explosive death match. Now, was it going to be ridiculously violent? No, it wasn't. I even tweeted out on @WrestlePlug, which you can follow on all social media. I even tweeted out and said, you know, this match is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be utterly brutal or utterly comedic. And they opted mostly for the latter. Now, were there some great spots? Absolutely. For me, I thought it was very meh in comparison to the old death matches. I don't think it did any of them justice whatsoever. You can name drop Terry Funk, JR, all you fucking want. You can name drop these Japanese legends like the guy that, you know, Moxley was paying homage to with his leather jacket. That's all very well and good, but they've still got to go out there and deliver the death match that we want to see. I wanted it to be a brutal affair. And also, let's not forget, AEW has said, yeah, we're not going to be cookie cutter. We're going to have swearing. We're going to make it more edgy and over the top. And it did some of that, but not enough. And like I say, they keep fucking getting in their own way. Didn't like the setup. First of all, you still got the ropes there. Now, that's not a deal breaker for me, but at the same time, they even said in the build up to it, don't forget the ropes are going to be replaced with barbed wire. They weren't replaced with barbed wire. You had some barbed wire wrapped around them. Did it look dangerous? Absolutely. Was it a deathmatch scenario? Yes, but I'm sorry, you could have ramped this up so much more. And ramp it up, they did not. Now, the spots were great. I feel like Jon Moxley wanted to go out there and really do all the crazy stuff. He wanted barbed wire in his face, and he was, oh my God, the blood. And he looked great. And I actually have to give Jon Moxley a lot of love because I can be very critical of him. I thought Jon Moxley was fantastic in this match. I really did. I've loved Jon Moxley's run since he dropped the belt, actually. He's been world class, and it's a fucking shame because chances are he's going to be off TV for a while now. But congratulations, Mox. You're going to be a father, and you deserve that, mate. You really do. But fuck me. So, you know, plenty of violent spots. That's fine. Kenny Omega, for me, didn't do nearly enough from a violent standpoint. And he didn't take enough either. And in a match environment like this, which is supposed to be, you know, Jon Moxley's wheelhouse, if anything, it was Kenny Omega who was the most assertive and most dominant. Now, if you want your champion to look dominant in that respect, then great. You know, mission accomplished. But the whole idea of this storyline, I thought, was that this is Jon Moxley's wheelhouse. Jon Moxley is the guy who wants to fucking bleed people to death. Jon Moxley's the deathmatch guy. Jon Moxley's the hardcore entity. And Kenny Omega's going to beat him at his own game. And yes, he did. But that doesn't mean that the journey shouldn't give Moxley a bit of credit. And I felt like Moxley spent a lot of this match getting batted around, quite literally at some points. Now, the one spot that made me pop like crazy, other than the end for many reasons, was when he kicked out of the one-winged angel. But he didn't quite kick out, but he got his foot on the ropes and he sacrificed it so an explosion would go off. Now, first of all, these explosions were stupid. Like, they didn't even look legit. They were just like, pff, a little, you know, they had a little bang and they looked somewhat impressive. But the most impressive explosion spot of the whole thing was the one where it actually looked like it hit somebody. Other than that, it just looked like they go and firing smoke at them. You couldn't believe for a second that they were in any genuine danger unless they were in the barbed wire. The barbed wire was far more terrifying and far more dangerous and a legitimate threat. The explosives weren't. They were a fucking joke. And the way they set up the outside with the boards as well when they went through them, the spots looked fucking gnarly, especially when Moxley kind of gave him what I think was a paradigm shift or a DDT of some sort into one of the boards. But then the explosions go off about 2 meters away from them. What's the point? Put them underneath or something. You've got infinite budget at AEW. I know you have. Because, my God, you flaunt it around. You certainly flaunt your money around signing all these big names. And I'm going to get to that in a moment because I feel like that's something that we want to talk about as well, obviously, not just Ethan Page's debut in the ladder match. I just was so disappointed with the aesthetics of it. I feel like with some genuine thought and with the amount of time they had and a decent budget, they could have really made this look special. And the guys worked hard. You know, I didn't think Kenny Omega was shit in this match. Before he worked hard, he was fine. I'm not a Kenny Omega fan at all. I think he's one of the most overrated wrestlers I've ever seen. I loved him in New Japan. I feel like he has not captured even a glimpse of what he was in New Japan over in North America, but it is what it is. Kenny Omega goes over with the help, of course, of the Good Brothers, and then we get the moment that everybody's talking about. Now, the countdown was incredible. You know, the sirens are going off. The sounds, I thought, holy shit. It felt genuinely intense and real after a match which was somewhat 50-50. And Eddie Kingston comes down and, you know, he's sort of battling away with the heels a little bit. And then he just runs it and he's like, you know, even I can't let this happen. And it was so well done. And Eddie Kingston is the best actor that AEW has, and he showed it here. It was so powerful and so emotional. I genuinely started welling up. I did. You know, I'm a mark for that. I completely fell hook, line, and sinker for it. I thought, oh, that's fucking incredible. He's going to, you know, come out and is he going to save Moxley? No, and then he just decides, I'm going to take the grenade for you and cover you and try and protect you from the explosion. And you think, right, I've seen them do the end of the death match where they drag the referee down and the whole thing blows up and they've got these like pebble shatterers and things and it looks utterly incredible. And that was back in the days when they didn't have crazy budgets. Japan didn't have the access to money like AEW does. So I'm thinking all you got to do right now, one big explosion, make it look like they were legitimately at threat of being destroyed or hurt in some way. I'm right here. I'm right fucking here with the emotion. I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is incredible. This is an amazing moment. And then... Sparklers. Sparklers and a bit of smoke. That's what we got. You could clearly see, right, that it wasn't anywhere near them either. You could have at least sprayed the smoke actually on them so it looked like there was a potential, or made some sparks go on them so it looked like there may have been a potential to get burned or something and have Eddie Kingston shivering. No. And then these poor fuckers have to lay there and sell as if they've been burnt alive or they've been hit by an actual grenade blast. And don't get me started on fucking Don Callis calling this an extermination chamber. Who the fuck greenlit that fucking phrase? Sparklers and smoke. And the show, I believe, somewhat goes off the air. And I think Moxley, after the show went off the air, got on the mic and cut a very impassioned speech and all that, which is great. It would be very interesting to see if they're going to show that later down the line or on the internet for whatever reason. But you want to talk about an anticlimactic notion. And I asked people to send me in their thoughts, you know, and a couple of people said to me, oh, I'm willing to give Tony Khan the benefit of the doubt. No, you wouldn't give anyone else the benefit of the doubt. So why does Tony Khan get it? Oh, but he's new and he's only just started and I love AEW and he's Daddy Tony. Tony Khan isn't a good human being. He's a whopping great Trump lunatic. Stop defending the man and stop defending this shit. This is the Booker of the Year, is it? It's a joke. It's a joke. There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom. You're right, Marvin. There was. But instead, we got Gilbert's entrance, mate. What an ending to a show. The other big talking point, of course, which I actually went past, was the big money signing. Who was going to be the Hall of Fame worthy candidate? And I should have known as soon as he said, oh yeah, he's definitely a Hall of Fame worthy candidate, because we've said on this podcast for a long time that this man should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. But he's now in AEW, which means he's probably never going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, because I know how petty Vince is. Of course, it's Christian Cage I'm talking about. He is now All Elite. Mixed feelings. I'm very happy for Christian, and I cannot wait to see him wrestle, and I think this is a great pickup for AEW. However, there are two things that are big critiques for me. First of all, I'm gutted I won't get to see Edge and Christian reunite just once. I know that they did in the Rumble. I would have loved to have seen him wrestle the Usos or, you know, a big tag team like the New Day or something. That would have been such a great feeling. Could they not have just given us that quickly and then let him jump ship, essentially, which is what they did. They obviously didn't offer him enough money, which is fine. Whatever. I'm glad that he got that little reunion, though. But the other thing is, AEW fans are marking out like crazy. You know, they're losing their shit. And good, rightfully so, because Christian is a fucking legend and he deserves your love. However, do not fucking go on the internet and keeps blasting off at WWE saying, oh, fucking hell, they keep pushing all these veterans. We don't. We raise homegrown talent. Dude, Ethan Page is fantastic, but he was made in Impact and in Canada's independent scene, okay? Sting's come in, for fuck's sake. You know, even your somewhat homegrown talent, the Elite and stuff, none of your talent is homegrown other than arguably Darby Allin. And actually, newsflash, he was pretty hot shit before he even arrived in AEW, if you watch the independent scene enough. So, you know, it really frustrates me, because I don't have a personal problem with it, but don't be fucking going on the internet and giving it all this and saying, oh, yeah, well, fucking, you know, WWE does this, WWE does that, we're perfect. No, you're not. You're not perfect. WWE's certainly not fucking perfect, and neither are you. You are not excused from criticism just because you are a newer company. Ridiculous. I wonder if it was like this back in the mid-90s when I was like, you know, I was only like 10, 12 years old during the Monday Night Wars, but I can't imagine like WCW fans, yeah, well, WCW doesn't do anything wrong. WCW is amazing. I'm interested to see whether it was like that, but then a lot more people were watching wrestling back then. What a massively underwhelming end to what was actually... What a massively underwhelming end to what was genuinely, for me, a really good pay-per-view. Like I say, there's two matches in the middle I couldn't give a shit about. The booking was dumb and carny in a lot of places, but there was also some really good booking. You know, Tony Khan isn't a complete fucking Egypt. Ray Phoenix and Pac went in the tag team battle royale was fucking fantastic. I thought that was match of the night. It was so entertaining. Plenty of great surprises and great to see some new faces, some legitimate talent that you could get behind. I thought the ladder match was great. There was some great talent in there. Max Caster, of course. I absolutely loved the filming of the street fight. I just thought all the aesthetics around it and the ambiance were completely fucking ruined. I thought the tag team title match was excellent. I thought the women's title match was fantastic. So, you know, there was plenty there that I'm very positive about. So don't be fucking coming at me in the comments and sending me more hate mail on Facebook, which I seem to get every fucking day now, calling me a fat retard, or, oh, you've got fucking bigger tits and blah, blah, blah. I know, mate. I've never pretended I'm not fat, bruv. Right? But what makes me laugh is the fact that, you know, you act as if I actually hate this fucking brand, and I don't. I just want it to succeed. And there are clearly things here that are stopping it from taking that next level. You can't tell me that if you got that explosion right, if you hadn't got that ending just perfect, that it wouldn't bring in more and more people who would have been like, holy shit, did you see this incredible, compelling piece of acting, this performance art, so to speak, that was at the end of this show? And instead, all anyone's going to be fucking talking about, despite a very good pay-per-view overall, is the fact that you had a load of fucking sparklers at the end and two men had to pretend as if they were in a fucking grenade shelter. It's a shame. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley especially deserved better, because they are really putting in a shift. I thought it was a world-class performance from them. Like I say, I was damn near in tears when Eddie Kingston covered over him, and they got all the setup right and the sirens going off. I was like, oh my God, I was genuinely fucking gripped with tension and terror, and then... Do you know what it reminded me of? Imagine, you ever been to the cinema with a loved one or a friend or a partner or whatever, and you'll be watching like a really intense film. Maybe you've gone to see something like Saving Private Ryan or, you know, an epic war blockbuster. And it reminded me of, like, can you imagine, like, right at the pinnacle of the scene, someone's maybe about to die, or someone's being held in their arms, just like, I'm sorry, please don't leave me, and they're like slowly passing away. The equivalent would be if your significant other was sat next to you and just let out a whopping great ripper. It totally rinsed the area of all the emotion. The atmosphere assassin. Oh, Lord. But that was AEW Revolution. I had fun, I'll give you that. Thank you, AEW. I had a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do on Dynamite. Now, if you've got any thoughts of your own, ladies and gentlemen, obviously you are welcome to send them in at WrestlePlug, and of course you can contact us on all social media. So even if you haven't had your say yet and you want to have your say after the fact, you can leave it in the comments below, or you can send it to our social media, and we'll discuss it on the State of Wrestling address later in the week, which is, of course, our weekly wrestling news podcast. We also have some great interviews that have been dropping right now, so please check those out. We just had Just Joe Lando on the podcast, who is incredible. One of Europe's best high-flying wrestlers, if not the best. He is a guy that you will want to pay attention to. That young kid has got an incredible future. We had Aeron on the podcast. We've got future guests coming, which were announced later in the week. We've got a lot of interviews lined up. We've got a lot of interviews now starting to pile up in the backlog, and I'll be working very hard to edit all of those. So your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. And of course, you can always buy a t-shirt from wrestleplug.bigcartel.com or prowrestlingtees.com/wrestleplug. Now then, before we leave, one of my very good friends, a real good soul, somebody I really, really love and care about, is a little bit of the Amy, who is on the Twitter and Instagram. You will have seen Amy. She's fantastic, a Brit that lives abroad. She lives in Florida, and she actually attended AEW's Revolution pay-per-view. So I actually wanted people to hear her thoughts on the show and what it was like from her perspective, because she is a super mark to her own admittance. She loves Kenny Omega, so of course we're always butting heads about that. But I really was excited to see what she thought, because obviously being there is very different from watching it on TV at home. So this is what Amy had to say.
I am a huge Britt Baker fan, which is funny because when AEW first started, who did I hate?
Britt Baker.
Britt Baker.
But why did
I hate Britt Baker? Because I love Adam Cole. But I love Britt Baker now. She's fantastic. She has grown so much in her character, and she is brilliant in the ring, and I think she thoroughly deserves that belt. DMD. She's a dentist, so you know. Okay, so the tag match for the belt. Fantastic. Love MJF. Love Jericho. But I'm a huge Bucks fan, so I had to pull for the Bucks. Whereas he pulled for Jericho and MJF. I didn't. But yeah, I loved that match. That was a great match. was great. I loved it because here's my thing with AEW. I love everybody. I don't hate anyone. So it was fantastic. Loved everybody in it. Except I was really hoping that God, Thrills of Destiny, was gonna like turn up. They didn't, so I went to the bathroom instead. So cinematic is a huge thing right now, so I get it. I do get it, but
A huge thing where though?
across the anyway, it's a huge thing right now. So
First time AEW's ever done it.
No, it's not. No, it's not. They did the Great Baker and Swole in the dentist.
So one other time. So that's not all the time. It's not a huge thing. It's happened twice. A huge thing is when something
It's a huge thing in companies. Anyway.
So who else is there?
I would have liked to have had them come in, like you said, but it didn't. So it allowed to settle for the barbed wire match. So it was cool. And then also for like Sting's first kind of match back, I guess it was careful. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I didn't dislike it, but yes, being there, I felt a little bit like, oh, they're not actually here. Like I was ready to
We're gonna
go.
rob the match.
It's Sting!
See, told you, she's an absolute queen. Thank you very much, Amy, for sending those in. Hopefully, actually, we're going to get Amy onto the podcast a little bit more regularly, possibly a nice little one-on-one chat, get her on for Zoom or something, and we can chat about AEW as a pairing, because I really think that she's a great palate cleanser to my highly critical nature. She's a really super positive human being, and she deserves a lot of love and appreciation. So thank you once again, Amy. And obviously, that'll do from the WrestlePlug, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, if you've got any thoughts, maybe you've got some opinions, just like Amy, and you want to send them in to us, we're happy to share them on the pod at WrestlePlug across all social media brands. If you want to get at us, I am Aaron Nix. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this extended review of AEW Revolution, and also there's been some cheeky highlights in there in case you didn't get the opportunity to see it yourself. I'll catch you very soon for more content from the WrestlePlug.